Starting off day, what is this, day 10 of camp for us, practice 10. Guys had a little time off yesterday. Spent some time, really going over the film, making sure that everybody's on the same page in terms of what our expectations are. And technical difficulties there, SWX. I think they could afford better. Come on. But long story short, we did have a meeting with both the quarterbacks yesterday. We have made a decision on who our starter will be moving forward. I think that was really important in the grand scheme of things for our team. And I was really impressed with both young men because we talked about it and I said, hey, I'm not so sure that there's a body of work here, a huge body of work that's going to say this, that, the other thing. But I think that what's best for our team right now is to make a call and move forward. And both of them agreed. They both felt like, yeah, you're right, Coach. I mean, I think in fairness to Kevin Cassis and Travis Johnson and our tight ends and our offensive line, for us to start to get the reps that individual is going to need, that's going to be important. I say that keeping in mind that 3 of the 4 teams that made it to the playoffs last year from the Big Sky Conference had to use 2 quarterbacks to get there. In Weber State and Eastern Washington and even us, we had to have 2 quarterbacks to get there. And I think we're really fortunate to have 2 quarterbacks that our kids are confident in, that they trust, but we are going to move forward with Casey Bauman as the one right now, okay? And so that was a tough conversation, obviously, to have with Tucker. He handled it exactly like I thought he'd handle it. Coach, I understand. It's what's best for the team right now. I'll be ready when you need me. And so that's kind of where we're at on that. I think we had one of our best practices today. And I think that was probably part of it. Was our guy, there's not a lot of clouds hanging over it right now. Our kids know what direction we're going. They're going to be supportive of Tucker. They're going to be supportive of Casey. And we've got that decision behind us, and that's why I think it was important for us to make it after the first scrimmage and not drag it out another week. We get that out of the way, we talk about it as a family, and then we move forward. And so I'm happy to to answer any questions if you guys have any.
Is there anything Casey did in particular to separate himself?
I think it's not any one thing in particular. It's a lot of little things, and I think one of the little things that really became evident to me was I felt like he was starting to kind of take command of the huddle more frequently. And certainly I've made that clear that was going to be a large part of my decision was really how the players responded, and not that they responded in a negative way to Tucker at all. That's not the case. It's just that if you want to go with anything, more my gut feel.
Having a foundation at that position, do you feel like that'll allow the offense in particular to be able to kind of grow and improve?
Certainly that's part of the rationale behind making the decision a little bit earlier than we have, and very much hope that that's the case. I think that everybody kind of goes, okay, we got this out of the way. We kind of know what the pecking order is here. Regardless of who's quarterback, we got to do our job, but there are going to be differences when you're rolling guys and giving everybody equal reps to try to identify who that guy is. Clearly you're not getting the number of reps that you probably want with the ones, and so hopefully that's something that allows the offense to take a step forward.
Do you feel like that position battle is completely closed? You talked about 2 quarterbacks in the mix there, but in the next, even up to the first 3 games, do you feel like there's an opportunity for Tucker to still be in the mix there early on?
Well, we're always competing for everything that we do, but the bottom line is I can't, and I told Tucker this, I can't, if I named you the starter, you wouldn't want me to say you're on a short leash. I don't think that's fair to that individual, and I think that we have to do what we need to do to support them. If there becomes a time where we feel like the best thing for our team is to make a change, obviously that's something that we'll discuss at that moment. But right now, I don't want that individual looking in the rearview mirror. I want them looking straight ahead, knowing that they've got the full support of the staff and their teammates.
In what ways has Casey grown since he came into fall camp?
I think it's just interesting to see a young man who came from really basically Class B football, the equivalent of that in the state of Washington, who has some tremendous physical gifts. I don't think anybody in this room sits in front of Casey and goes, he doesn't look like he can be a Division I quarterback. But it's really the mental part of it is the biggest growth that I've seen in him. His practice habits, his preparation habits. I think he's gotten really close with his teammates. I think he put those pennies in the bank this summer to try to gain the trust of his teammates. And so there's all of those areas. I think just a year ago he was leaving home for the first time. And they have a very tight family, and I know that there was some homesickness, and he misses his little brothers and all those types of things. And I think now he's gotten away from home. He's become a little bit more of his own man, and I think that we'll continue to see that progression within him.
So his first career starter will be at Texas Tech. You still feel really confident in him, even in that sort of environment?
Yeah, I think our message is going to be consistent. Yeah, I listened to Wells's press conference the other day. It's going to be 170 degrees on the turf at Jones AT&T Stadium in Lubbock, and if that's the case, I'm going to protest because I don't think that's right. I think player safety should be at the forefront. If it's really 170 degrees on the turf, because he said literally it was going to be 170 degrees. So I'm taking a thermometer with me, and I'm going to show it to Matt Wells and say it's 170. Do you really want your players out here in 170 degree temperature? And so, you know, I know there's probably a little gamesmanship right there, talking about Texas tough and all that stuff. And hey, at the end of the day, it's not about Texas Tech at all. It's not about the 70,000 people that show up to the game. It's not about what the scoreboard says. It's not about the guys wearing the red and black. It's about Montana State. It's about us doing our job. It's about us controlling what we can control. And it's about our quarterback taking the next step in his progression as our leader. And so we're not going to make it about Texas Tech at all, and we shouldn't. It's a first game.
Between Tucker and Casey, were you leaning any way going into
No,
fall camp?
no.
Or was it 50-50?
I mean, I intentionally stayed away from this thing all the way along. And occasionally I would take a straw poll, might call up one of the receivers or call up one of the DBs and just say, hey, where are things at? Because we don't get a chance to see these guys throw the ball. And so I don't think I think most of the time it was kind of like we feel confident in both of them. And I think here's the awesome thing about this and the hard thing. Like our kids really care about each other. I think they really care about each other. I think guys really care about Tucker. And they know that was hard for him, and they're going to be there to support him. And that's what makes me feel the best about this. Like, this isn't dividing our team. This is uniting our team. And they're going to be there for their brothers no matter what. And I really sensed that yesterday, and I really feel proud of that. That tells me we have hope for the future generations of America. So.
You mentioned Tucker's physical skill set, and there's not a lot of guys in football history that really look like that. Can you talk about his physical intangibles and some of the things that you've seen in your football career that relate to him?
I mean, Tucker or Casey?
Oh, sorry, Casey.
Yeah, I mean, I think, the one comparison I've heard used a couple times is Joe Flacco, who was also, finished his career at the FCS level and a big guy. But I actually think Casey moves better than you think. And so, you don't see a lot of 6'6" plus guys playing quarterback, but I think he's got a unique skill set. He's a very good athlete. Mom was a collegiate Division I rower. Dad was a good athlete, and he's, he was a three-sport athlete in high school. There's a pretty cool viral video of him, shattering a backboard on a dunk, and I just think he's got a unique skill set. I think that we can do some of the +1 run game, and he's going to hold up at 235 pounds. He runs better than you think. He's certainly got the arm talent of an elite quarterback.
Can you expound on that arm talent? What do you see just in the strength of his arm?
You guys probably see it too. I mean, it doesn't take somebody that's necessarily been around football their whole life to see a guy with zip on the ball. And I just have not seen a lot of guys at really anywhere that can throw the ball with the velocity that he does. Now, at times, he's got to become more accurate, and that's going to be the thing that you really hang your hat on. But he can make some throws that we haven't been able to make. And I think Tucker's capable of making those throws too. I think Casey just, he has a little more arm talent. He's got a little stronger arm.
As far as where you see Casey's ceiling, is a big part of it playing him as now as a redshirt freshman, that ceiling?
Yeah, I think you can read between the lines and say that to a certain degree. But if I felt like he wasn't ready, I wouldn't have made this decision. I think it was, I think both of them have a high ceiling. I think had we gone with Tucker, he would have continued to improve. And I know he's going to be ready to go regardless of what happens. And so, yeah, was it an easy decision? No. But do I think it was the right decision at this time, given the fact that we have more of a veteran team and we need to get ourselves prepared to go play at Texas Tech? I think the timing of it was right.
You mentioned talking to the other players about this, because I know you've mentioned how important it is to have confidence in the huddle with whoever the quarterback is. Do you sense that, he's developed the trust of his teammates?
Yeah, I mean, I think I made it clear that's my number one criteria for this decision. And so the fact that I named him the quarterback, I think that speaks to that.
Do you think a lot of that went into the summer? You mentioned that he did stay around. I know that Tucker was around as well, but a little bit more maybe in and out. Do you think that the summer was a big kind of push Casey over?
I think they were both here consistent. I mean, I don't think either one of them missed anything. I think really Tucker was probably the one that facilitated the most of the PRPs and provided a lot of the structure for those to happen. So both those guys took their role here seriously. They were all here. They were both here all summer, and both put the time in. I don't think that was the separation necessarily.
What was the decision made yesterday, Sunday?
Yeah. Matt and I got together Sunday morning and had a couple hours of back and forth conversation. We'd had a kind of an impromptu deal while we were grading the film on Saturday night. Wanted to sleep on it and kind of just see where we were feeling, what we were feeling like on Sunday. And then we wanted to make sure that we brought each one of the young men in individually. And then we sat down with the four of us together after we'd had a chance to talk to the two young men individually. And then also wanted to give them time to, hey, they're going to call their parents. They're going to let them know what's going on, and that's fair, right? And that's the way this process should play out. And then discuss it with our team and let them know what direction we're going, and then, and then have this conversation with you, because I know it's evidently something people are interested in. So.
I had a couple questions. I had a question about Willie Patterson. I know you talked about him being maybe a guy that we'd love to see you take that returner role. But what other role do you see him playing in the offense?
Well, he's an excellent slot receiver. He also, we had a pretty good amount of success running some fly sweeps with him last year. Obviously, it's going to be those matchups on the safety or the linebacker in the slots where he brings the most value to us in the pass game. I think he's improved his body. He's bigger and stronger, so he's a better blocker, which is helpful for us on some of our quick screens and things that we do to manage the perimeter. And I think he's gained a step, and so hopefully we can create some matchups and get some vertical shots out of him as well.
Did you get more clarity on the tight end battle, especially after the scrimmage?
Yeah, I really felt like the two guys that kind of jumped to the forefront there. I thought Jacob Hadley had a really good day. I was really happy to see the physicality that he brought in the run game, and so that was a real positive for us. I think Ryan Davis has already kind of solidified himself, so I'd say those two guys kind of emerged as 1-2, so to speak, if we're in 12 personnel. But a guy that we've got to get more reps is Ryan Lonergan. I think he's starting to make some moves.
All right, thank you, Coach.
That guys.